This is episode number 99 at the BS Machine, one away from 100. That's cool. I wonder what we're going to be talking about at episode 100. But anyway, I've had a pretty cool week, to be honest. It's been up, down, sideways, diagonal, every which way. And I was actually supposed to interview a guest for this episode, but I'm going to get him on next week. So wait around for that. That'll be epic. He's a really cool dude. He's cool. I'm going to get him on next week. So anyway, you have to wait for that. But this week, I just went on a massive walk with my dog. Well, it's sort of my new dog, Winston. Not with a Y. Every time someone meets him, they go, "Is it Winston with a Y?" And I'm like, okay, heard that a fucking 1,000 times before. But anyway, what am I yapping on about? Oh yeah, today, it's so cool because I just went on a big walk, and I've just been, when I go on my walks, it's just me. And I just have time to sort of roll in and think about stuff and think about what's going on, think about where I'm being triggered, and not just think about it, but really go through the intricacies of life and how we define life. And it's so interesting, I reckon, because the way we define ourselves, the way we define life, the way we define others is pretty much what we get to experience. And I've talked about this on somewhat of a level, but I'm really going to dive in deep to this on this podcast, because your definitions are what actually create your focus. And so there's a number of different ways to do this. And I'll give you an example in terms of how you define yourself. When we define ourselves, as in terms of our character, how we are, how we go about certain things. So for example, someone might define themselves as they're very black and white. They like to be right or wrong. Other people might define themselves as just following their heart or following their intuition, or others might define themselves as easygoing. And what I sort of realized is that if you define yourself in a certain way and you define others in a certain way, then I feel like we're going to get into a bit of trouble and quite a few challenges. And the only reason I'm saying that is because when you're going through life, when you're journeying through life, you will meet all types of different cats. You will come up you will come up against all type of different characters. You're going to come up against all different type of experiences. And if you're very committed to your definitions of yourself, of others, and of the world, it'll be tough. So what I'm sort of going for here, what I'm heading towards, is for you to maybe be open about learning how you define yourself first off. Because if you don't know how you define yourself, then you're not going to know how you define others, and you're not going to know how you define the outer world or the experiences. So the way that we sort of tap into how we define ourselves is those consistent comments, or those consistent things that we say about ourselves to others. And sometimes we might say those things because we want others to know how we are, so they know what they're getting themselves into. Or we might say those things to protect ourselves against any type of hurt or future fear of experiences folding out. So, for example, if you're getting into a new relationship and you're dating, and you, at the start, you're like, hey, you know what, I just want to make sure you know that this is how I am. And I just wanted to warn you before you get to the future that this is how I am, and this is how I'm going to look at the world, and blah, 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 blah. And so what it does is that it takes away from us actually experiencing the fullness and the wholeness of what life has to offer. Because life is always going to give us different gifts. It's going to give us different experiences to learn from. And if we're committed to our definitions of ourselves, then we're not going to really be open to getting those lessons. And one of the biggest ones, I reckon, is this ability to let go of stuff, to just honor the experiences you're having, and just to be able to let go of your definitions of how things have to be in order for you to be happy. And I know I did a whole podcast on letting go. I did a whole episode, I think 10 or so episodes ago, about letting go. Maybe it was more. But this one is all about definitions and how you define yourself, others, and the world. And so in this area of being a definer, then there's a few stages that happen before that. And this is where we really have to sort of dig in. So this is where you're going to have to look for yourself and have a look. And even if you want to get a piece of paper and a pen, by all means, go do that. But what you sort of have to look at before your definitions of the world is what happens, what gets triggered within you when certain situations happen that you don't like. And I mean in terms of what happens with you. So think about a situation that may have recently happened. It could be really big, really small, but a situation that's happened recently where you felt something being triggered within you, a certain emotion that's negative. And once you sort of dig into that emotion, you'll find that that's connected, or that's hooked in to some belief or some definition you have about yourself. And so when others act in a way that doesn't match your definition of yourself, then that's when you get triggered. And so I look at moments of being triggered as an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity for you to progress and maybe build. It doesn't mean you have to get rid of the definitions that you have about yourself, but what it means is that it's an opportunity for you to maybe build on those definitions and maybe add a little bit of color onto the definition. So you could be, saying that I'm black and white, but however, in certain situations when it comes to things that are really important to me, that's true to my heart, there is times when I maybe look on either side of that. And that I'm just using that as an example. And so what I'm going for here, because it just seems so fucking limited, doesn't it? When you define certain things as that's how they have to be, life becomes so limited, and that's what we're all here to do. We're all here to grow, to expand, and to make ourselves better than what we were yesterday. Because who you were yesterday is very different to who you are today. Every day is a brand new experience. Every day, new things come at you. Every day, we always get new gifts that literally land on our lap. And if we're not looking at them as an honor, or if we're not looking at them as gifts, or opportunities even, that we get to learn and we get to grow and we get to progress, then where are we going? We're either staying stagnant or we're moving backwards. And for those of us, and guys, I know you would agree with me right now, is that there's such a huge amount of people at the moment that are ready to fucking grow. We're ready to expand. And so the way that we do that, and I'm seeing this with my coaching clients, I've got people coming at me left, right, and center trying to, book in for intro sessions and book in for, other coaching programs with me, because people want to expand. They want to know. It's like, holy shit, there's just this feeling at the moment that our civilization has experienced some deep-seated, trauma, some sadness. We've experienced this whole thing with bloody COVID-19, and so people are ready to move forward, because I think we all know that where the world is heading at the moment is it's going to be our own fuel that will allow us to move forward. And if you grow, then the rest of the world grows. It's something I always mention this in my yoga classes when I'm teaching yoga, is that when you're practicing yoga, it's not just about you. When you grow in your yoga practice, the person next to you and the person beside you and in front of you and behind you, they will feel the energy of you plugging into your practice, of you deepening in, of you not bowing out when it gets fucking hard, or you want to whatever, come out of a pose because it's too hard, and you're like, no, you know what, I'm staying in. And that's the thing, when you almost take responsibility for not just for your own practice, but for the person next to you and the person behind you and in front of you, then you want to try harder, because you want others to expand and experience the goodness of life and the goodness of progression just like you. And so when we do that, it has to come back into this moment of, and you know what, definitions even move into us in terms of in like physically, because when we believe that we're weak, or we believe that we can't do yoga, or we can't do gym, I'm just using this as an example, because when we're too fat, too fucking skinny, too whatever it is, too sick, too this, too that, the other, and I'm just using yoga exercise as an example. If you define yourself as someone that that's not for me, what's going to happen? You're not going to have a good experience, are you? Because you're just not going to do it. So you won't grow, you won't expand. So this is what I'm talking about. The way we define ourselves has to be a little bit more open. You have to give a little bit of leeway of how that happens. And definitions, they sound, don't they? You can hear them. They sound very stringent. It's like, right, I'm defining this as right. I'm defining this as wrong. I'm defining this as black, white, whatever, right? So it's a super important aspect. And so if you start to ease up or even grow around the definitions that you have about yourself, and maybe even build new definitions which will allow you to expand, which will allow you to grow. And new definitions could be, you could define yourself as a person that's always ready and aware when it comes to wanting to grow and expand. I define myself as a person that's always open to new opportunities of growth. I define myself as a person that is constantly looking within, and I'm always very, very flowy. I think flowy is the right word, very flowy in terms of what life brings at me. And I have this incredible knack, incredible ability. I've got this incredible ability to move with the tides of what life brings at me. And that's a pretty cool definition, I reckon. Like something like that. Or I define myself as a person that fucking loves to open up and to grow. I define myself as a person that loves helping other people grow. I define myself as a person that is really empathetic of other people and what they're going through. And I always look into other people's lives, even when I think that they're doing the wrong thing, and see what's really going on there, and just even try to understand what's going on in their backyard, so I can find a level of empathy. And so there's some really powerful definitions. And you know what? When you start to redefine who you are, and you start to redefine yourself in a way that matches what you want in the world, the things that you want in the future. There's so many people at the moment that are walking around going, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? I want to know what my purpose is. Do you know, I actually don't reckon that any of us are ever going to fucking find our purpose, because in order to find your purpose, what that says is that once you find your purpose, then you're like, you're there and you're rocking and there's nothing else to do, like, or not nothing else to do, but you basically found your thing and that's all you do, so I believe that purpose, your purpose, our purpose, my purpose, your purpose is to fucking grow and move towards the things that you fucking love. Move towards the things that excite you. Move towards the things that scare the fuck out of you. But those things, the ones that scare you, that are like, oh man, if I do this, I might definitely fall on my ass. But it's something that pushes the boundaries for me. So they're the things that you want to move towards. And then this is where, when you start living life like that, and you're not looking for things, you're just being in the moment and allowing yourself to, redefine your existence, redefine who you are, redefine the experiences that you're having. If you feel like you're having a shitty experience, fucking redefine it and it will happen very quickly. It might take 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I went through something this week where I was like, fuck man, really? Not again? Oh, how annoying. Like, I thought I fucking dealt with this and it's just coming back again. I'm like, ugh. And I was sitting there and I'm like, all right, what am I going to do here? So for me, look, this shit works for me. This is what I'm just going to tell you what I did, because in these situations, before I go into redefining myself, I need to get myself into a good state. So as soon as that happened and I realized that I was going down the rabbit hole of darkness, I went, right, I need to pull myself out of this shit. What did I do? I got on my couch, did 4 rounds of this epic breathing technique that I do. The body started feeling good. I got my gear off, got in a cold shower, jumped in a cold shower, came out of that. That took about 5 minutes, the breathing in the cold shower. I'm going, cool, I'm in a good state now. Let's dig in and redefine the situation. And the whole process took me about 15 minutes. And after that, all that, the guilt, the feeling of shitness, all that, it just went away, and I define myself as a person that's brave enough to look within, and I define myself as a person that loves to fucking grow, and I define myself as a person that is very likable, which I am. I know I'm likable. I know I've got this gift of being able to fit into any sort of crowd, but I also know that I define myself as a person that loves to help other people, and that's what it comes down to. Is I take responsibility for the fact that I need to grow, in order to help others. And as I start to grow, this is the interesting thing, is that the clients that I'm attracting towards me are going through something that either I've just worked through or I'm working through myself at the moment, and that proves to me that I'm moving in the right direction. So definitions are very important, guys. How you define yourself. And so what I was about to say is that as you start to define yourself and redefine who you are, redefine your edges and your boundaries, then what that will do is you will start to see that the way that you define others totally changes. So, for example, you could go through a situation, and in the past, you'd be like, "Fuck, these pricks! Like, who the fuck are they? Like, they've done wrong, they've wronged me, or whatever it might be." But in your new world, in this world of growth and redefining your own way of looking at the world, you might look at these people or a person and just be like, just have empathy. It's like, you know what? They're just not where they are. They're just not, they're not ready, or, not in a bad way, or maybe they just haven't done the work, or they lack respect, or whatever it might be, and it's like, fine, cool. That could be them, and it's just like, you get your own choices. You can't change other people. It just is what it is. And then it starts to change your definition of the world. Do you know how many people define the world as a chaotic, fucked up place? and that's scary, man, because if you're defining the world as a chaotic, fucked up place to be, man, I'm pretty sure that if you work back to that, you'll look in your own backyard and it's going to be very chaotic and, well, I'm not going to use the word fucked up, but it'll be chaotic. So this is our job, guys, is that as you start to redefine yourself, as you will then redefine others, and then from there you'll start to redefine the world, and before you know it, the world's going to attract back to you, or you're going to attract to yourself some really, really epic situations, some epic people, and it'll make you very happy. Hey, can you guys hear my dog? My dog's in the background going. It's Winston with an I. Why? It's not even with a Y. But anyway, I just thought I'd tell that. Can you hear him? Listen. Little Winnie. How you going, buddy? Anyway, so guys, there it is. That's what I wanted to share with you today, because it's a really important one, and I think it's super. It's very effective, this type of work, and the more you dive into it, the more you will, start to really recreate what's really going on. And I've spoken about it before, but your focus 100% creates your reality. That's very, very true. So you get to choose what you focus on, and what you focus on comes from how you define the world. It keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper. So I love you guts. If you want to know more about not beliefs, but how definitions and whatnot, feel free to reach out to me. And I'll still, if you want to hit me up for a little intro session, by all means, hit me up. It's not too scary. I just basically call you on your shit and give you some pretty cool tools. So if you want to hit me up for a intro session, feel free to do so. An intro coaching session. Otherwise, guys, such an honor. I'm fucking off to Bali this week. Yeah, baby. So I'll be in Bali. So the next episode of the BS Machine will be coming at you from Canggu in Bali. I'm going to go there for a week and hang out. All right, guys. Love you guts. Have an epic day, and feel free to reach out to me for any questions. And please, I haven't mentioned it for a while, but it'll be so cool if you could please subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening to it, and also share and send this on to anyone that you think might benefit, and also give it a little thumbs up, if you're on YouTube or whatever. Give it a little thumbs up. But yeah, thanks so much, guys. Love you guts. Love you lots. Even though I don't know who's listening, I know there's plenty of you, but either way, you rock. Thank you so much. And really, from the bottom of my heart, I'd just like to acknowledge you for being part of the journey. Thank you.